You can always tell someone that's got the right heart and is pure by how their team looks to them and thanks to them. And you are a blessing to so many people. God has favor on you. And watch out. 82-year-old gold, whatever we football coming soon.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, and I'd like my beautiful panel to come on up. We have Gladys Flores. Come on up. Let's give her a hand. And Asma Ruben and George Ruiz. Well, I am really blessed, you know. I'm really, the reason I'm here is because of my people. You know, no leader is where they are at the top unless they have great, great leaders. We have 40 people here today. We have 40 people. And we pray to get there, get 100 to the leadership. And I think that's what it's all about. But let's kind of go back. I'll tell you a little about my background. Some of you don't know me, some of you do. But 43 years ago, I was at that age that Corbin talked about. I was 39, going on like, I'm tired of being poor. You know, I did everything that was right. I went to school, I went to the university. You know, when you go to school, they just train you to be an employee. Isn't that true? And so I'd done everything right, and I went and I taught school for 17 years. I even taught school in Japan. I was a DOD teacher. But one day I woke up, I was living in northern San Diego County, and I said, wow, you know, I'm just tired of being broke. You know, in the true sense, not really broke, but I just traded time for money, time for money. How many have done that? Most everyone, that's what we do, and somewhere you lose your dreams. But I had, thank goodness, I had a neighbor. You never know where these people are going to come and how they touch your lives. I want you to think about this, who you might touch. They could, with this comp plan, that could change your whole future. I want you to think about this. This neighbor of mine called me and said, oh, I have this business opportunity. I think you'd be great. You need to come on over and hear about it. She didn't tell me it was the pink company. She just said, a business opportunity. And I said, oh, okay, well, I'll come on over. So I drove over, and there was this pink car outside. I said, oh, tacky. I've never driven a pink car. I had attitude, bad attitude. I knew nothing about the industry, but I had this thing, you know. And but I was a good sport. I said, I'm going to help my friend out. And I went inside, and there were just 5 ladies. I was one of them, so there was a total 5. And this director, who was a Berkeley graduate, starts jumping up and down and talking about how great this company is. And I'm going, wow, what's a Berkeley graduate doing this for? But it wasn't that. They showed me the money. And I went, what? And they were making $20,000, $40,000, $80,000 a month 43 years ago at the top of the company. I said, well, maybe I could drive that big car after all. You know, my pride was never greater than my pocketbook. You know, I said, I could learn how to do this. But listen to this, and have you ever done this? When I left, they said, oh, they thought I'd be great. And I said, no, I think I'll just stick to teaching. I wasn't thinking that at all. I was like, I gotta check this out. How many people have said no to you? And you believe them? Well, nobody called me back. 3 months went by. Nobody called me. But they planted a seed. They planted a seed that there was possibilities. And about 3 months later, things changed in my life. My husband at that time, I was married 33 years, his business changed overnight, and so there was no money. And I said, gosh, I think I'm going to have to do something else. I said, what could I do? What was that thing they were talking about, that MK thing? Well, maybe so. Then I went home and called my friend. I said, hey, how much does it cost? And she said, oh, $85. I said, well, okay, can I come up and sign up? She must have fallen. I was her first and only recruit. And she recruited the #1 national sales director in Mary Kay. Now, under that comp plan, listen, she didn't get anything. And I never saw her again. I said, by the way, can I try this product? I didn't even try the product. I was just looking for the business. I thought, well, they must make a lot of money. I mean, it must be good product. Okay. So I went home, and and she didn't have the presence to call her director and say, hey, you know what? We did sign up that lady, and that lady, the director called and says, well, we didn't think you were interested. But nobody followed up. See, if they followed up the next day and said, we know you said no, but we're looking for leaders. Would you be open to sitting down and we can tell you more? I would have done it. But how many of you take it okay and you slither away? No. Go back after the people you think are important. Do not let them slip. But they planted the seed. And so I began. I said to my person, I said, well, where do I get trained? She said, oh, just look in the yellow pages. And I said, well, okay. Now, I'm living out in the countryside. There's no hotels. There's nothing. And so I said, okay. So I looked in yellow pages because my director now legally was up in Northern California. And I said, okay. So I looked and they said, oh, there's a director down an hour and a half down in Mira Mesa, San Diego. And I said, hey, I found a place we can get trained. She said, no, I'm not interested. So I went by myself. That's who you want. I never used my recruiter or my director living thousands of miles away or my recruiter who did nothing and disappeared as my reason to not succeed. I stood up and said, I want more. And that's the attitude you have to have, right? And so I began to sell the dream. And I teach school all day long, and then I come and cook dinner, then I jump in the car and say, come on. I told all my neighbors, we're going there just like Corbin is talking. I got a business opportunity, it's so exciting. We can build this area. We can build the North County. I was selling the sizzle, not the steak. And I was saying, we're going. And they'd pile them in the car, and I put them Cokes, potato chips, not very healthy. But, I didn't care. I said, just a little way down the road. It was really an hour and a half. But, it didn't matter. I got them in the car, and I took them every week. And then I said, pretty soon, I said, wow, we can build. We don't have to drive that far. We know what to do now. Let's build. And so I rented a little schoolhouse in Little Fallbrook, California, the avocado capital of the world. And I put little chairs out there, and I said, it's like the field of dreams. They will come, I put 100 chairs out there, And pretty soon we had 2, 3, 4, and pretty soon they started driving in from all over. And we built leaders, and I built 7 leaders my first year, and I had a Cadillac, I won a trip, and I was off to go in. Oh, this is so exciting. And then one day I woke up and I said, where are they? The leaders have disappeared. They were not the right ones. And so there was a defining decision that I had to say, I'm going to let them decide my fate, or I'm going to take action and build new people. And about that time, I got up and I moved to Houston, Texas. I said, oh, wow, this is a fantastic city. All these people here. Yeah. 100,000 people had moved out because of the oil crash. I looked at it as opportunity. They need work. I've got it. So I went out and warm chattered. I didn't care. And then I sent a newsletter. We didn't have the internet. We didn't really have cell phones. Just what Mark was talking about and Greg and all. We really did the old-fashioned way, but it still works today. I think it's still the best way, but we have all the tools now that George will talk about. But I'm telling you, there's some lessons in this. I went out there every day and said, I'm going to get my 10 leads every day. I didn't know who they were, but I was going to do it. And I started building, and there were already 60 directors and 3 nationals there, and I told the people, we're going to be the #1 area in Houston. And they looked at me. I said, yes. You see, what are you teaching? What are you visualizing? You're casting the dream for your people to step in. Do you believe in it? Do you have a dream? Nobody follows a parked car. You got to get in that race car and going. And you learn while you're earning. And so I did that. And I became a national in 2 years. I became the #1 in Houston. And then you know what? That wasn't good enough. I said, I'm going to Chicago. And I was a national sales director, but I continued building. I didn't rest on my laurels and say, I've arrived. I said, I'm going, and I went down, started warm chattering, and met Kimberly Starr in the Avalon Bakery. And she became the first national in downtown Chicago. simple sign. You know, nobody goes to the suburbs, nobody goes into the city, the traffic is so horrible. I said, oh no, we're gonna build Chicago. And so I stayed there 4 years, and acorns cannot grow under oak trees, or acorns can't grow under an oak tree. So I left and went to Atlanta, did the same thing, went to Miami, built in Mexico, built all over, and had an amazing, awesome directors. I've got some of them here today. It was not me, it was my people that put me on top. I'm very clear about that. And that's how I made it. But like Kimberly said, when we get to the very top, I was an elite executive national sales director. And 16 nationals came out of that area, which is amazing. Duplicating yourself, bringing thousands of people in, and that's what this business is about. But you have to retire when you're 65. If you're selling product, you never have to retire. But if you are a director, you don't have to retire. But we do, they buy your book of business out. So they bought my business, and I stood on this island, and I was now living on an island called Fisher Island. It was like where Oprah lived, all the fancy stars. But you know, I was quite a celebrity. They were like, whoa, you're an entrepreneur. You're engaged. Oh my gosh, you're here. You're one of us. I was proud to be, and I was invited to every party. But I was going, what am I going to do? Stay there the rest of my life? Just sit there on that island, retire and die? No, I hate that word, retire and die. No, I have more to do. I have more to do in this world. So I joined another company. I've only been in 2 companies. I don't jump. I don't like people that jump from this company to this company to this company to this company. What kind of credibility do you have? You have to do the same work at any company. Think about that. It's the same skills. It's prospect, enroll, present, and enroll. That's all you have to do. And so I joined another company and started building in Asia. I was there 14 years. Loved it. COVID came. I'm just going to go this real fast. Loved it. And George was my upline. I used to look and say, wow, look at George there. And I'm building in Asia. Then COVID hit, the company changed, the owners decided to retire early, and they shut down the Asian countries, changed the product. And so then my daughter, I have one daughter, and she said, hey Mom, you need to move to Aspen, Colorado, the grandchildren need you. I have 2. And so the roles reversed. I used to tell her what to do, now she tells me what to do. So I moved in the middle of COVID, sold my home, wrote it, I came up, built my house, and I'm going like, well, here I am, where are you? Oh, we're skiing, we're horseback riding lessons. I said, what? Okay, well, time to go. Now, meanwhile, I have a lot of companies calling me. I'm an industry leader. They're calling me, join this company, join this company, join that company. No. I wouldn't join those old, big companies. The only reason I would join another company would be for 3 reasons. Number 1, it would be a new company. That's where the opportunity is always. But you have to have great leadership. And do we have the greatest leadership? I mean, this can't go. You have to have great leaders. I mean, look at this Daniel. I mean, did you see him jump on the stage? It's like leaps tall buildings. It's like Superman. You know, I'm gonna follow a guy like that thinks big, get things done, let's go. And then the legendary Kim Wee, oh my idol, she tells me, jump. I say, how high? You know, she's telling me, you've got to go to Taipei, and I'm going, oh, I said, well, I got to be in the regional, I got 2 other regionals going. She said, no, you can take the red eye to Taipei. And then when you get there, we can see your people for a few hours, and we're going to go for 10 hours or 6 hours or something to the orphanage. She said, we can see your people in the evening. I was like, I gotta get off the airplane. But if she says that, I'm doing it. Whatever she says, I do. I love that woman. She is my inspiration. She is such a great legend. No wonder she's the number 1. She does so much for all of us. I love her. That is who I follow. I don't listen to losers. I only hang around winners because that's who I want to be. Okay? I have a lot to learn still at age 2 years old. I'm still learning. Be careful. The minute you think you learn, it's over. You die. So that was my first qualification. Second, I said, I gotta have my right product. I said, oh my God, well, I want to be in the supplement industry if I could find that company. Because the supplement industry was $60 billion in 2020. What is it this year? $500 billion worldwide. It is going to $1 trillion. Hello! That's what I want to be in. I don't want to be in the handbag and jewelry business. I want somebody, people's emotional product, they use it, they love it, and they continue using it and order every single month. That's the kind of business I want. And third, I want the greatest compensation plan on the planet. Because I made a lot of money in that first company, but let me tell you, it was an old stair-step breakaway. Here, I looked at it, and when George and this other colleague called and said, we've got this great opportunity, I said, George, I believe you. I trust you. You made $8 million over here with me. So I want you to come up. I want you to come here, George, and present to me, because I knew you knew the numbers. George came, Adrian allowed him because they had a family reunion, but wasn't he smart? She let him leave the family reunion to come see me and spend the weekend. He punched those numbers out. I said, oh, I get this. I get this very much. The person that builds the most leaders makes the most money. Okay? So that is my story. And what I'm excited about is the future of this company. And I believe with Holly and Corbin, who did an outstanding job today, of uniting these 2 days, we have to run like our lives depend on it. I mean, it's non-negotiable. So this is a little longer than my 10-minute story, but I'm really passionate about this. We got to run. And so I have 3 amazing leaders that are emerging. And first of all, we have Gladys. This is Gladys Flores. And she is from Donna from Dallas, and she's a licensed dietitian. And this is a whole nutritionist. She's a whole new world for her. And she was more product driven, but things changed. And just in the last week, she's enrolled 4 people already. I mean, she's getting. What would you say? What would make the difference now? Tell us.
Following the example, following you, making sure that I follow what Antoinette teaches is the calendar. I went to Target the other day and bought my calendars and follow everything she said, because this is brand new to me. My background is Chinese medicine, and from there I went into nutrition. So I'm used to people coming to me. Now I have to go to people. So I sat down with you two, and you gave me what I need to do, and I'm a follower. You give me the instructions, and I'm going to follow the instructions and make an amazing, beautiful, delicious, delicioso cake. Because I'm into instruction. So that's what I do. I talk to people. Thank you for the scripts, because it's different when you have to go to people. And I'm just doing everything you're telling me to do. And I'm a good learner. I mean, I follow instruction.
Well, also you're building in the Hispanic community too.
Yes, I am.
Yeah.
I'm multilingual. My first language is Spanish, Espanol, followed by Italian because I'm Spanish-Italian. And because of my culture, we complicate everything. We make it something like this very big.
And I remember that Antoinette took you out to talk to people, warm chatter. And you were so scared, right?
Yes. We've been shopping. We went to Costco one time, and they're asking me questions, and people were listening and asking me questions. And then I follow, because once you give me a little bit, I will take over. So yeah, it's just following the example. I'm following you people.
And didn't you say, really, you find that a lot of people don't really want to be healthy, but you're really more business-oriented now? Is that right?
Yes.
You're a licensed nutritionist.
Oh my goodness, I've been learning so much here. So much. Because people want the easy way out. So I'm not, have you ever met a rich, wealthy doctor? No. So I am just, okay, these people are making this much money. I have very big dreams and goals. I volunteer my time in a safe house, and we rescue girls from human trafficking and drug addiction and prostitution. So that is
from Gladys Flores. Okay, and we have Astrid Pagan originally from Puerto Rico, building in the Hispanic community, and she came in April, like rocket fire, already built 3 stars, 2 3 stars, and has another one almost finishing up. I know your Shannon introduced you. And what would you say that you've just got fire in your heart. I think it's part of the culture. It's just like Gladys was saying about we're emotional, but the Hispanics, the Hispanics are the fastest growing ethnic group in our industry. And this is really important to tack into the ethnic groups, which brings us to another reason. When you're building an organization, what you really need to do is build 5 geographical areas. You need to build 5 geographical areas. Because if there's a natural disaster in one, you're out of business. So always build in 5 different areas, countries, geographical areas, etc. And that is what, even though you have people in Puerto Rico, you're building in Florida now. So tell us your magic. You're just like going right out.
Thank you, Christine. Well, with this leadership, imagine who cannot fly, right? I'm so blessed. Thank you, Christine. I'm thankful for Shannon, who insisted so much that I just said I listened to Christine, so Shannon will stop calling us and texting us. Me and my husband Mike, he's in Florida. And after listening to Christine, I realized that I was back. I come from another platform, but I felt after listening to her, I cried. Because I realized that I was almost in the same trap that I was back then, 14 years ago, when I first started network marketing. I was a therapist, and I was like a slave therapist, right? Working 80 hours, Saturdays and Sundays. I was sick and tired, like fed up. I was the one that needed a psychologist. So after listening to Christine, I saw hope. I could catch a dream again because I had lost my dream of developing 100 millionaires. In the other platform, I was like, I can't even do 1 million. I'm gonna develop. That was my dream. So my dream started to die, and I didn't even realize. So even in network marketing, even if you have the right opportunity, you might make low your energy, low your vision, and that's how Shannon, after harassing me, because it wasn't follow-up, it was harassment. So please harass your people because you're gonna change their lives. So she saved my life again with this amazing opportunity, and I focus a lot on the Latino market. It's 20% of the population, 68%, 68 million, so we can find 40 leaders there, right? I don't know, like, look in your community and your city, how many million people live there, or the people that you want to target. I am sure you're going to find the board of directors that we are looking. But your vision has to be super clear. So when I started, I knew I was not going to lose. I heard how many millionaires were developed and how many millionaires came over to follow Daniel's leadership. I was like, it has to be good, and if they can do it, I can do it. So our community, it needs a lot of energy. We like music, it has to be fun. So since I joined, I am running, but I'm also creating the stuff in Spanish because there's not that many stuff, right? So sometimes I feel like I'm trying to run, but we're getting there, we're gonna get it there, and there has to be fire. So know your community, your people, and just give them what they need, what their heart needs. But talking about energy, how is your energy from 1 to 10 right now? Like, or before you came here, how's your energy? Because energy is the fuel for momentum. So 1 to 10, from 1 to 10, what's your energy right now? That's my therapist side that is still around there somewhere. We want to develop momentum in this company. I want to see like millions and millions of Latinos in this business. John Maxwell said that momentum is the best friend of leaders. It's best, like we need momentum, and for that we need energy. So what can we do to build energy? I gotta do like double work because we gotta build it up, like even through music, on everything, to keep my Latinas on fire. We have to, I'm here from Puerto Rico, and I'm here locally from Las Vegas.
amazing leaders, but just watch your energy as a leader. When was the last time you felt number 10 energy? When was the last time? And if you don't have that level 10 energy to go out and build the momentum after all these amazing tips that we got, we're gonna go back home and say nothing's gonna change. So we need a level 10 energy. When was the last time you felt that way, on fire, that people that are next to you will stop you to ask you, who are you? Like, what are you doing? And even at the top, we lose that energy sometimes. So go back home, lead yourself in fire, and go back home and turn everybody on fire.
Daddy said, put some salt on you. Oh, thank you. Get yourself on passion and excitement. Absolutely. And they have fun and they're really moving it. And you've done like warm chatter, but now we have George Ruiz, who has been so grateful. Everybody knows George, and he's a legend in the industry. I'm so grateful you made the trip to spend the weekend with me. You changed my life. You gave me hope. And you're such a guru. We appreciate you and Adrian so much that you do these Zooms and your training. But you've really become an expert on the platforms of AI and the 3 app. What would you say that how are you using this in your business now?
I understand, because if I am sticking here,
Yes,
the energy is not moving. Okay. Well, very fast, because I have only 3 minutes, 34 seconds and a quarter. Anyway, one of the things important is a tool. It's just a tool. Everything that we have is an extension. I remember in 1992 teaching people how to send an email. Anybody remember? Now, how many of you will live without an email? Anymore? No emails. No cell phones. If you didn't have cell phones, imagine. Those are tools. Those are tools. Sometimes people say, well, that doesn't work. Hey, the people remember saying, cell phones, that's a luxury. It's not going to work. And that's why it's so important, because we cannot get behind, like you were saying. If we are not learning something new, we're going to be left behind. We're going to be left behind. My background is in technology. I graduated in science, in computer science. And that's why I know where the world is going. At the time I was in school, and our teacher was saying, one day everybody's going to have a computer at home. And I remember people laughing. That's what Bill Gates was saying too, and Steve Jobs was saying too. People were laughing. Technology is changing. It's why social media is so important. It's a tool. It's a tool to connect with people. We have right now we have the apps, and we have the AI. And the AI, for those of you that have seen my trainings, we have Friday, social media to Friday, we call it, but we go all into the tools, because the tools are really powerful. Some people at first say, oh, that doesn't work, that doesn't sound like me, because you have to ask the right question. It's like you're asking somebody. When I ask somebody, you have the power. I don't know if you read the magic of asking the right question, but one of my friends, and some of you know who I'm talking about. Anyway, this guy, that's the same when you are AI, but let me go back. Social media. There's so many different things. You don't build with social media. Social media is giving you leads. You are attracting leads with social media. I'll give you an example. I have found many friends, but actually, how many of you remember AOL? Okay, the first person that sponsored AOL became a millionaire. Some of you that were in my company remember who is Alex Cocky? He came, and you remember Alex Cocky, one of the million income earners in my team. I sponsored him through AOL. Now, I also was doing person-to-person, because I found a lot of people I couldn't find through social media. Now, social media, how do you use it? Just very quick. You know that we ask people to ask the list of people that they know? How many of you have in Facebook more than 50 friends? Wow, most of the room. And some of you have 100, 200, 500, 1,000. This is the cool thing. Most of the friends, by the way, we don't have a clue who they are. But this is a good way. One way, you connect with them, you say, hey, if you don't know the person, you know, we are friends, but I want to know more about you. You start a regular conversation, and then you sponsor the person. You get the person to a Zoom, you can go, and then the second part, you want to develop the local area. This is when my friends who live in blank. Write this, my friends who live in blank. For example, suppose that you live in Nashville, Tennessee. My friends who live in Nashville, Tennessee. You start connecting with people. I help a person, and you know who that became a multimillionaire. She came here, etc. Also, but anyway, because she couldn't connect with people because she had a problem with her company before, and I told her to build the St. Louis area by doing that. My friends who live in St. Louis. and then she started connecting with people and started doing local meetings, because the best way to connect with somebody is first face-to-face. The second one cannot have face-to-face, that's Zoom, because the third one, of course, phone calls, etc. But the important thing is to connect with people. The other thing that you say, if build in 5 different regions. The reason time says up. But the reason it's important, social media, other ways, because it's the fastest way to build in other regions. Because when I was in Florida building my first company, I had 3,000 people in the East Coast, and a hurricane hit the area, and the whole volume went down. And I said, I had to find out, and that's when I learned with a friend of mine, who's a friend of yours that live in Florida, learned how to use AOL at the time, because I had to find people in other regions, and that's the way that I got people in other regions. But anyway, that's what I wanted to tell. I wish I could have 3 hours to talk about this, but I don't.
Oh, that's great, George. George does train everybody for us. He's very good, and we learned so much from you. So just plug in. We're all one big family. We're all one big family. You're invited to all of our training.
And by the way, very quick, you never run out of people.
Yeah.
That when you say, I don't know anybody, in today's world, you can find people anywhere.
Yeah.
Because we have a huge...
So there's no right or wrong. It's warm chatter, or it's using all the tools that we have now with the 3 app, AI, Facebook, all of them. There's no reason. You've got 8 billion people on the planet. Thank you so much. You were all so great. Thank you. Thank you.
They did such a great job. I love hearing that we're branching to so many different markets. And, you know, the Spanish market is going to be a huge, huge, huge addition to this community here. Yeah, I think we need to do like a salsa themed party one time. No? Is that not working for you? All right, that's a great transition right there.